how long have we known that the representation of black people specifically in UK advertising, since this woke wave that took over after the Black Lives Matter idiocy of 2020, is not just way out of proportion, but drastically not representative of our country? And if you said that, which don't get me wrong, I would, very quickly you'd get false smears of racism and bigotry. But a new study, ironically conducted by the very, very woke Channel 4, has shown that even though there's just 4% black people in England and Wales, they feature now in over 50% of TV advertising. And as this report on the matter explained, TV adverts not only overrepresent black people, but they just pretend that the over 70s don't exist. Now, this was according to Channel 4's Mirror on the Industry study, and it discovered that despite diversity in adverts improving, some minorities are rarely featured. I guess they're not the right minorities. The analysis was carried out by the agency Tapestry, which audited the top 500 adverts shown across all stations over 2 4-week periods. It found that more than half of the commercials featured black people, even though according to the 2021 census, 4% of the population of England and Wales is black. However, the representation of disabled, elderly, and pregnant people was lagging behind that for people of colour. Disabled people were included in just 4% of the TV adverts studied, despite them making up almost 18% of the population. Moreover, pensioners, aged 70 and above, featured in only 2% of the top 500 commercials. Pregnant women were in just 0.1%, and people categorised as LGBTQA+ appeared in just 2% of adverts, below the 3% of the population they account for. People from a South Asian background make up 8% of the population, but featured in 17% of adverts. East Asians account for 1% of the population and featured in 11% of adverts. So we know what's been going on here, and we can see it, right, with our own eyes every time we turn on the mainstream media. Watch.
Sainsbury's. Are we made of money?
Hey Sainsbury's, explain it, will you?
In store, Bridget, who is deaf, is being recommended a laptop.
And this Surface Copilot Plus PC live captions calls.
Perfect for work. How do I look? Slaying. Maya. Fabulous.
Really? She'll love that.
Robin.
Oh, that's very them.
And finally, these actual statistics mean that people are prepared to start speaking up. Colin Brazier posted, "Today we learned half of all adverts feature black people, although they represent only 4% of the population. Yesterday, I sat in a medical facility where not a single poster of many depicted a white man. Social engineering, pure and simple." And former BBC presenter Liz Kershaw wrote, "We knew it." She added, "It's not just the ads." In 2020, BBC senior management issued a diktat that 20% of people on air, presenters, guests, etc., should be non-white. Production staff who did not hit this target would not get their annual bonus. Now, Connor Tomlinson, for a long time, I believe that the whole idea of diversity has been completely warped because of a hard-left Marxist agenda. Because my understanding of diversity was that it was just meant to represent the population, right? Which means that if there's 4% of black people in England and Wales, they should be seen about 4% of the time on ads. But we know it's not just advertising that's doing this. I mean, look at Woke ITV. We are every single day on the lunchtime panel show, Loose Women. There's usually 2 black people, meaning that they're acting as if 50% of the population is indeed black. If you're enjoying what we're doing here on Outspoken, please consider joining our thriving community over on Substack, www.outspoken.live. You can sign up completely for free, but Substack is so important to me. It is a free speech platform. It protects me from big tech cancellation. Plus, you get to communicate directly with me. Head on over www.outspoken.live, enter your email address, and sign up today.
Yeah, diversity just means non-white, Dan. That's all it's ever used to mean. Non-white, non-Christian, non-English, not straight, etc. You know, the majority of the population. And so representation has a meaning. Hannah Pitkin defined this in her book on representation. And she used the term to mean something absent being made present. And the reason that's pertinent is because These people believe that, much like speech is violence, that if you say something, it becomes true. So, for example, they believe that literally everyone is a blank slate. They believe that everyone is equal. They believe that the only divisions that exist between us, between groups, between cultures, between people, are entirely arbitrary. And so, you noticing a difference is causing the division. And so, all they have to do is socially engineer society until everyone is represented literally everywhere and everyone is indistinguishable, until we rewrite our history by pretending that Anne Boleyn is black, that period dramas like Bridgerton actually always had black and Asian aristocracy, that the Anglo-Saxons fighting the Norman invasions are sub-Saharan Africans. They just have to do all of that to convince you that literally everyone is different. And they do that by using racial discrimination in the present to achieve some hypothetical egalitarian utopia eventually. But when you say it's Marxist, in the same way as Marx promised a dictatorship of the proletariat, the collectivization of all property, and the killing of the bourgeoisie, to then somehow get to a stateless, classless utopia where everyone sings Kumbaya and is fat and happy. The details on how we get to that post-racial, post-bigoted egalitarian utopia is very vague. But what they want to do in the present, by giving themselves and their friends and their co-ethnics more money, usually from the state, more job opportunities and more power, that's all very detailed, that's all very insistent. And so one must think that actually representation, the project of diversity and the like, is just a project of racial resentment and seething insecurity about your sexual proclivities that gives you more wealth, more power, more status to punish your enemies and ameliorate your insecurities. And actually just the talk of equality and utopia is all just window dressing for anti-white racism.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, the anti-white racism that now spews forth from not just the mainstream media, but the entertainment industry and the advertising industry is out of control. I mean, it is the only form of racism which is, of course, now completely accepted. And on that, I totally agree with you, Connor. I guess what surprises me so much, though, is that advertising is all about making corporations money. And you would think that money was their overriding priority. But surely making advertising, which is aimed at a predominantly white audience that doesn't feature white people, is actually costing these companies money. Yet they put their desire to socially engineer ahead of profits. That's surprising, isn't it? But first, this episode of Outspoken is brought to you by Manscaped, the global leader in men's lifestyle and grooming. And I'm very excited to say the heat has officially arrived overseas. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra in the white hot special edition colorway from Manscaped, now available across the UK, Europe, and Australia too. Now, this is the same trimmer trusted by millions of men down below, now with a clean white and gold finish that looks just as smooth as it shaves. And it isn't just a pretty face. The Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra is built to handle your most sensitive areas with care, helping reduce the risk of nicks, cuts, and irritation where it matters most. So whether you're cleaning things up for a date, a trip, or just to feel a bit more put together, the white hot trimmer makes below the waist grooming a whole lot smoother, literally. Join over 12 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. And let me tell you, the ladies in the Outspoken audience would really do well as using this as a fail-safe gift for your boyfriend, your husband, your son, your brother, your hard-to-buy-for best mate, because the blades are designed to glide over the skin with less tug and pull, helping the bloke in your life avoid the usual redness or irritation that comes with low-quality groomers. It's simple, it's effective, it doesn't require a whole routine. Just pick it up, clean up, and move on. Whether you're using it in the shower, on the glow, or standing over the sink before a night out, the White Hot 5.0 Ultra fits into your day without getting in the way. Plus, the white and gold design actually looks so good, I don't think you'd want to be hiding this away in the bottom drawer, right? White hot looks, smooth results. The White Hot 5.0 Ultra brings the heat without cooking your skin. It's sleek, easy to use, and way less terrifying than whatever you were using before. Use the code Outspoken for 15% off your entire order at manscaped.com. That's 15% off with the code Outspoken at manscaped.com. But now, back to this show.
No, unfortunately not, Dan. So there are three reasons why this happens. First of all, because the projections of Gen Z being the most diverse generation ever means that they're constantly told that because we are ethnically heterogeneous, they have to market to non-white people in order to get their foot in the door. Number two, of course, there are various advertising risk management bodies and NGOs like the Human Rights Campaign in America. There's also like a global advertising regulator body called GARM that tells the advertisers and these companies that you have to hit these certain diversity quotas, else you are discriminatory. And the implication there is a kind of mafia intimidation tactic saying, nice business you got. Would be a shame if we were to call you racist and something would happen to it, wouldn't it? So corporations all comply out of risk aversion, and that's why adverts all seem uniform with, you know, a black woman and a white man in a relationship, or the other way around constantly. There are an overrepresentation of gay and trans people, for example, and it just becomes a kind of absurd identity circus. The third reason is because under ESG, and this has been withdrawn somewhat in America, but it's still with rocket fuel in the EU and UK, there are hedge funds propping these companies up by hitting certain diversity tick boxes. So there are entire subsidy funds set up by BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, and the like, all World Economic Forum affiliated, of course, that say, if you hit your corporate social responsibility score for this year, you can unlock extra funding and investment from these hedge funds who set the criteria in the first place. And lots of this criteria, especially after the 2020 George Floyd riots, revolve around race, sexuality, and especially climate responsibility. So if you're seen to be a sustainable business, if you're seen to fund things like flights out of state for your employees to access abortions or transgender surgery for your employees, and if you put black people in positions of power or in your advertisements, you get subsidies from these hedge funds that are trying to socially engineer all of our countries to be one great big Tower of Babel. And so they are happy to take the loss so long as they get direct investment from these corporations that want to build a John Lennon's Imagine utopia and instead are just going to build Rwanda or Lebanon.
Connor Tomlinson, brilliant stuff. Connor is, of course, host of Tomlinson Talks, which is a brilliant show on YouTube, but always love having you as part of Outspoken, Connor, too. Thank you so much. And thank you for your company all week. We're about to reveal the worst Britain in the world this week. It is a clean slate of Labour nominees. A reminder, because, of course, this is taken from our Union Jackass winners from Monday to Thursday. On Monday, it was the country's corrupted Prime Minister, Slippery Starmer. On Tuesday, our corrupted Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood. On Wednesday, our corrupted Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy. And on Thursday, our corrupted Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves. I'm sure you're seeing a theme here. We've had nearly 70,000 votes and a huge amount of comments coming from you too. Alistair Mitchell said, American here. I'd heard of your Mr. Lammy, but had not heard him speak until this week. I consider myself extremely lucky in that respect. He lives up to the word salads that issue from our Ms. Kamala Harris. I'm always amazed by people who can talk endlessly and say absolutely nothing for an extended period of time. Oh my goodness, you are so right. Lammy is absolutely our Kamala Harris, and hopefully he'll only ever reach as high as the Deputy Prime Minister position, a bit like she did. And of course, his word salad did nothing to stop the booing and the heckling at the vigil in Manchester earlier today. Buffalo Sports Club wrote, David Lammy went on Masterminding, got asked who came after Henry VIII. He proudly answered Henry VII. The audience went silent. Even the buzzer seemed confused. He's the deputy leader of the Labour Party, but apparently numbers aren't his strong suit. Maybe he thought history works like a countdown. JSBBC said, we must perform a citizen's arrest on Starmer and privately prosecute for his incitement speeches. I love that idea. Cheryl Alex 6540 said, I used to go out walking on my own everywhere. I used to sit in the park and chill, and now I just really don't feel safe. Starmer has endangered his own people in this country and getting away with it. And I can't believe no one can stop this. This is so worrying. It truly is. And the Baggy Babe said, Starmer doesn't even care what we think about him. He's still got another 4 years to bring us down completely. Then with his money, he will go and live away from the mess he will leave us in. Shame on him and the whole cabinet. Okay, so lots of feedback coming in. The results are in. In fourth position, with 2% of the vote, Rachel Reeves. In third position, with 7% of the vote, Shabana Mahmood. The runner-up, with 9% of the vote, David Lammy. But the worst Briton in the world this week, with an overwhelming 82% of your 70,000 votes, the Prime Minister, Slippery Starmer.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.